tenemos la conferencia titulada Un México Conectado, la Puerta al Futuro, a cargo de Kelly King, director general de AT&T México, a quien le damos una calurosa bienvenida y agradecemos el hecho de que esté con nosotros el día de hoy.
Great. Great to see you. Great. Excited. Gracias. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes, Mario de la Cruz, presidente de la CANIETI, representantes de la industria. Es un honor. Es un honor estar con ustedes. Como saben, desde hace unos meses estoy aprendiendo español. Me parece que escucharme aún es doloroso. Y no quisiera hacerlos pasar por eso, así que cambiaré a inglés. Gracias por su comprensión. I'm excited to be here with you today. And it's a real honor to come and speak to you. First of all, I want you to know that on behalf of the men and women of AT&T here in Mexico, we're a proud member of CANIETI, and we are proud to stand with you as an industry as we grow the digital economy here in Mexico. And so much has been accomplished in the last few years. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the men and women at AT&T, and I'd like for you to give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. We have so much more to do, But as the theme of the conference indicates, creating a digital ecosystem for the future, I wanted to talk a little bit about a digital ecosystem. It reminded me of a family, and it reminded me of teenagers. Raise your hand if you have ever been a parent of a teenager or have ever been a teenager. Okay, if you did not raise your hand, your mother is looking for you because you should be in school. Now, I have 4 children, and all 4 have been teenagers. 2 of them have been girls. Now, all fathers want to protect their daughters from the evils of the world when they're teenagers, right? So, we built a digital ecosystem at home, and we put in a security system. We put in a system that when the door opens, it is time-stamped, so we know when the door's open, when the window's open, when the thermostats need to be adjusted up and down. We have security cameras so that we know who comes to the front door. And we have the ability to turn lights off and on from our smartphone. And so when my daughter is on a date and she comes home, we can turn the light on in the front door so that whoever she's with will leave very quickly. Okay? We also know that at least once she snuck out in the middle of the night because it was time-stamped at 2:01. So, additionally, we put a fleet management device in our car. It was a family car that we shared, but we put it in the car, and it's a very simple installation. We just put it in the ODB drive in the car, and it can track where the car's been, how fast the car has gone, whether it turned too abruptly or whether it accelerated too fast or too slow. My daughter told me one day at lunch, "Dad, I'm a really good driver. Matter of fact, I am such a good driver, I'm so much better than my friends." And then finally, I had had enough. And I said, "No, you're not. In fact, you're a horrible driver." And she said, "What do you mean?" I held up my smartphone and I said, "Here are the facts. You broke the speed limit 7 times this week. You accelerated too fast 14 times this week. You stopped too soon 12 times this week, and you turned too quickly 7 times this week. I predict, based upon those analytics, that you will get a speeding ticket next week." What do you think happened next week? She got a speeding ticket. The problem is I had to pay for it. But she's now in university, and when she left to go to university, she told me, she goes, "Dad, I love you. You worked hard to protect me, but I'll be glad to get out of this digital prison." So, as a father, the digital ecosystem worked great for us. When we think about the trends that we expect to see in the future, I want to talk about 5 trends today in developing the ecosystem here in Mexico. And I think these 5 trends are really important. They're built upon the platform that we've already started, and the platform of connectivity that we've started here in Mexico. Over the last several years, we've made so much progress in connectivity, but we have so much more to do. But if we continue the journey, these 5 trends will become important, and they're all interrelated. And it doesn't matter if you're a software company, a hardware company, a services company, a carrier, an enterprise business company, or a government, or public or private, these 5 trends, I think, will be material. Now, I'm going to share with you data that we've collected, and it's through the eyes of AT&T, and it's through our global AT&T network. And I'll share some facts and figures with you that are sourced, and if you'd like those sources, we can provide those through our PR team. I will probably forget to tell you the source as I go through this presentation. But let me start with these 5 major trends. The first one is IoT. The second one is cybersecurity. The third one is cloud. The fourth one is software. And the fifth one is smart cities. And I think these 5 trends will be important to us as an industry. So let's talk about the first one, IoT. The next wave of disruption, as some would say. So are we ready? Are we ready in Mexico? And what can we do? So if you look here, here's the ranking of the OECD countries and their activity with IoT. And when you look, you'll see that Mexico is ranked number 18th out of 24. And so you might say, wow, we have a long way to go. This could take decades for us to catch up to the other countries. But I would have you just recall for a moment, it was only 2.5, 3 years ago, and if you looked at this chart for wireless broadband service, you would see the same thing. Mexico was one of the lowest rated countries in terms of access to wireless broadband to the population. But in just 2.5 years, Mexico has now leapfrogged the United Kingdom and Germany in wireless broadband access. So when you look at IoT, we can move Mexico rapidly to a leadership position with IoT. We've done it already when it comes to wireless access. And so it's a great opportunity. Just in Mexico alone this year, it's predicted that the market for IoT is $4 billion. It has grown almost 20% year over year. Now, the opportunity is huge. It's huge. It's predicted in 2020 that there'll be 35 billion devices connected. 35 billion devices. That estimate's probably low, but that is an estimate. In 2021, the actual revenue generated from IoT is projected to be $1.4 trillion. $1.4 trillion globally. And so when you think about the opportunity here in Mexico, in a very short period of time, we believe we have an opportunity to take advantage of this marketplace. So At AT&T, we've been involved with IoT for a long time. Today, we connect 34 million devices across the globe, 14 million cars, and 1.7 million asset management devices. And so we have some experience, and it's part of the reason when we look at the market opportunity here in Mexico, the regulatory environment and the reforms that have been put in place, and the belief and commitment by organizations like this to continue creating an environment of investment, we made the commitment to invest in what is called an LTE-M network. M stands for machine to machine. Now, when you look at this LTE-M network, why is it important? It's important because this network provides the state-of-the-art network for machines. And it lowers device prices because it's an industry standard that will be across the globe. So the actual chipsets that will be in these devices will allow manufacturers to build those devices at the lowest possible cost. The other thing is energy consumption is managed for machines. So think about this. If you have a meter or you're trying to track something and you have to change the battery every 6 months or every year, that becomes very costly and that becomes a logistics nightmare. But with this type of network, battery lives could be as long as 10 years. So think about the efficiency created by that. And then finally, you can have better coverage through buildings, through walls, and through foliage that will make the footprint better indoors or outdoors. Finally, it would come with network-grade security. And what that means is it would be a secure network, and it would be less prone to outside threats. So when you think about a public Wi-Fi network where anybody can stand it up, and you have a device connected to it, it may not have the kind of security that you would like in order to protect your overall network. So when you think about the size of the market and you think about this LTE-M opportunity, we will complete the construction of this network in Mexico by the end of this year. We've already begun deployment, we've done testing, and we'll be completed here in the fourth quarter. So when you think about IoT and the industries that it touches all industries. From any device that will have access to energy is likely a device that can be and will be connected in the future. The way we like to think about it is everything gets better when it's connected, even daughters that are teenagers. So the important thing, though, is not just the connectivity. It's the critical information that is captured by the devices. That's what gives you insights into making decisions. It was pretty important for my daughter to know that she was a bad driver when she actually thought she was a good driver. And so it's critical to have this information so we can keep people safe, we can protect our resources, make our homes healthier and safer. Let's pick an example, a real-world example. Let's talk about water. When you think about water, it's a global issue. It's a very limited resource that we have across the planet. In Mexico, it turns out Mexico is 5th in the world in water consumption. It turns out that for every person in Mexico, we consume and use 336 liters per day. 336 liters per day. 2/3 of that consumption is because of irrigation. Now, think about if we could provide intelligence to farmers that are using water. Many of them are watering today when they don't need to water. They're watering before the rain comes. They're watering when the ground is already moist. And so there's a lot of wasted water. Think about how much of this valuable resource we could save. Now, think about if we take it to the next level and we move to autonomous farming. And we have vehicles, farm, robots, drones, precision planting, and irrigation and fertilizer. We can increase yields by estimates of greater than 70%. What a great impact that would be on the world. Now, I grew up on a farm, and on that farm we had some cows. And what do you think the number one thing a cattle farmer has to do every morning? And they've had to do it for the last 2,000 years. They have to go count the cows. They wake up early in the morning, they go out and they count the cows. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, to see if one is missing. Because if you lose one, that's your crop. So now I think our industry could solve that problem, don't you? We shouldn't have to count cows. How about el programa vaca conectada? Don't you think that's a possibility? We should be able to solve that problem. Let's talk about healthcare. Healthcare is a huge opportunity for us. Connecting patients and doctors real time with information instead of having to physically be with the doctor. And as you know, many of these things are happening today, but this is going to accelerate. So think about today, we already have wearables. You heard yesterday about a new Apple iPhone type watch that'll come out, and many other wearables that track heart rate, steps, distance, so forth. But think about glucose monitoring. Think about the diabetes problem that we have in Mexico and the opportunity that we have to impact a problem of that nature. We know that 80% of caregivers and executives in hospitals say predictive analytics will help them significantly improve health care and reduce cost. 31% of hospitals today already use programs like this, and of the ones that don't, over almost 40% of those say within the next 3 years they will use this type of technology. Another area is security. This is an interesting company. This is a company called ShotSpotter. And it's a very simple technology. It is a technology that's deployed in cities, and today it's deployed in over 80 cities around the world. And it is a listening sensor. And so it listens for gunshots. And so when 3 of the sensors can hear a gunshot, they can triangulate the location of the gunshot to within 1 meter. Today, in major cities around the world, when a gunshot goes off, only 20% of the time does anybody call the police. Only 20% of the time. 80% of the time, nobody calls. 80% of the time, nobody calls. This information is transmitted within 30 to 45 seconds to the police. The police are then dispatched to the location where the shot originated, and 3 things happen. Number 1, if there is still a crime occurring, the police can disrupt the crime and have an impact by reducing the damage that's occurred. 2, if there's someone that's been injured or there's a fatality of sorts, the individual has a greater opportunity of recovering because they get help quicker. And 3, the community's better because people learn quickly that when a shot goes off, the police are going to show up. So it's an amazing technology. Another opportunity that is real today is something not as sexy as fighting crime, maybe not as sexy as healthcare, but think about the elevator you ride in every day that takes you up and down a tall building. And so I want to run a video of this technology that
our company is really founded on innovation, safety, quality. It all started from Elijah Otis unveiling the safety brake at the World's Fair in 1854. If that didn't happen, then we wouldn't have the Manhattans and the Beijings and the Shanghais and the big metropolis cities that we have today. Elevators, maybe it doesn't sound so exciting, but it's a very exciting product.
A lot of times you get in them without even noticing, but they take you to work, they bring you home, they get you where you need to go. We really take a lot of pride in making sure that we keep the city up and running.
We operate in more than 200 countries, and we have more than 1.9 million elevators in the field that we are sustaining every day and growing and growing.
Working on elevators requires you to be on site at the building. We don't always have the information, books, or libraries that you normally have if you're working in an office. So having connectivity through a phone is very important to the job I do.
Connectivity is key. AT&T is going to allow us to be connected globally.
The connectivity is twofold. It's connected to our mechanics and to our elevators as well.
Today, actually, they hook a cable in the motherboard of the elevator, physically, locally. We want to have the wireless technology, the cellular data, connected to the sensors of the elevators, and that data being streamed to the cloud. And then when you arrive on the site, you know exactly what has to be done.
What AT&T allows us to do is really connect with our 31,000 mechanics. They're the face of Otis. You look at an organization chart, I put the mechanic on top and I put me at the bottom.
Elevator mechanics don't work in an office. The motorroom is our office. The top of the car is our office. That's where we need the information, that's where we need the tools.
We probably have over 2 million elevators that we service around the world. If we're not connected, can't do that.
So as we think about the applications for IoT, I think the opportunity is endless. And we have a great opportunity here in Mexico to capitalize on it. One of the things that we have to be prepared for, though, is cybersecurity. As we expand to billions and billions of endpoints with devices and machines, we have to protect and secure the networks and the information and the data. And so at AT&T, some of the trends that we're seeing, today we monitor and we transmit over 160 petabytes of data across our global network every single day. And what we're seeing is in the last 3 years, we're seeing vulnerability scans increase over 3,000% with respect to IoT devices. So we have unique insight into the threat landscape in terms of security. And so just to give you an idea of what 160 petabytes means, 1 petabyte of storage is the equivalent of the DNA information for the entire population of Mexico 8 times. So that's 1 petabyte. We do 160 that we monitor every single day. Right now, we're seeing more than 30 billion vulnerability scans across the global network and 400 million spam messages across this global network every single day, along with 200,000 malware events. So it gives you an idea of how challenging this environment is and how we need to be prepared for it. Brand equity of your company, of your customers' companies, is intertwined with this threat. And so board members, CEOs, C-suite executives need to be ready and need to have action plans in place for security threats. You're very familiar with a lot of the threats that have been in the public, the breaches that you've seen. I'll just cite 1 or 2. 2014, you'll remember the Sony Pictures Entertainment cyber attack, where over 38 million files were exposed from confidential emails, passwords, information online, and the damage that it created to that company. You're also familiar with ransomware, the WannaCry virus, and so you know that it's a real threat in the marketplace. In addition, customer information needs to be protected. And more, and each and every day, we have to educate and teach all of our clients, all of our partners about cybersecurity. The interesting thing is, in the U.S., 87% of executives are worried about cyber threats. However, only 75% of their boards are actively engaged in planning for cyber threats. I think we have an opportunity here in Mexico as an industry leadership team to educate and to move quickly on cybersecurity in this country. It's a huge opportunity. So let's move on to cloud. It's the other trend. You're very familiar with this. Now that we have connectivity throughout the country and around the globe, the opportunity to move information into the cloud and have it shared and universally accessible for businesses, employees, is happening today at a very rapid pace. In the U.S., most businesses have 3 different cloud services, and adoption of cloud services is growing dramatically. We see the same thing in Mexico, but I would say it's going to ramp much faster than even in the U.S. So the cloud's moving us to a future where devices, services, and individuals are dynamically linked. This is creating the enabler for the ecosystem for software. And so you may have heard of software-defined networks. If you think about software for a minute, Mark Andreessen, who's an investor in Silicon Valley, coined the term, software is eating the world. Every company now is a software company. It doesn't matter if you're in logistics, it doesn't matter if you're in hardware, it doesn't matter if you're in fleet, your company is a software company. And if you're not thinking like that, you should be. You should be. The way that we're thinking about that at AT&T is it's like what's happening in the consumer space. So you'll remember that your smartphone now takes the place of all of these other gadgets. We used to carry a map. We used to have an alarm clock. We used to have exercise devices, a calculator, a telephone. I don't know about the cup of coffee in the picture. But now it's all done with software on a single device. That is going to happen in the infrastructure of enterprise. And we're going to see software become the engine of hardware. And so today, if you're a CIO or you're a company that has infrastructure, each individual box does a particular function. So you may have a router, a WAN accelerator, a firewall. Those boxes are independent. Tomorrow, there'll be a plain vanilla box, and you'll be able to dynamically change the function of that box and have on-demand services. That is a reality today. So virtualizing hardware to give clients more control and flexibility so that at different times they may need more routers, they may need more security, they may need some more acceleration. So it'll enable faster deployment and the speed of business. All these things allow us to have an ecosystem that would support smart cities. And so when you think about the opportunity to link people and city infrastructure, we can reduce energy use, we can enhance the environmental resilience of our communities and improve the quality of life and make cities safer and a lot more efficient. And one of the things that we're excited about that's advancing us towards that in Mexico City is the project that we're undertaking with the Metro. Many of you are fully aware that the Metro is the 4th largest metro in the world. There's over 5.5 million passengers that use the Metro, and we're deploying fiber, LTE, and Wi-Fi throughout the Metro 30 meters below the surface. It sets up the infrastructure for us to think about a smart city. And so at AT&T, we're working hard with 9 cities right now, collaborating across the globe in 5 areas of innovation: energy, water, transportation, public safety, and citizen engagement. We also have 10 strategic alliance members, and that's expected to grow. Have any of you had this experience before where you've driven your car, you come up to an intersection, and the light is red, and nobody's coming? And you have to wait. And you have to wait. And you have to wait. And you wonder, why does the light not change? Wouldn't it be nice if the light changed knowing that nobody was coming? That's a very simple application, but just think for a minute how much fuel that would save you. Think for a minute how much pollution and contamination that would save in the city. not to mention the frustration that individuals like all of us would have and our clients. That's just one simple example. Or even finding a parking spot. How about that? So these applications and simple applications are becoming a reality today, and we have an opportunity in Mexico to take advantage of those. So I'd like to run another video to give you a sense of what's possible in smart cities.
Why create a smart city? Well, smart cities are more responsive to citizens, and they help reduce environmental impact.
They're more cost-effective and they're safer.
Smart cities make people happier and more connected to their community. But also, we want to be on the cutting edge. I'm a big believer that technology can help save lives, make us more efficient, and deliver a better quality of life for our children and our grandchildren. This is a vast, vibrant region with many complex challenges. Well, we partner with AT&T because they've been a leader in technology for over a century, and that's what Miami's about. When you have data, you have to understand what the data means. Without the analytical aspect of it, it really becomes useless. And so smart city technology will allow us to actually solve the problem instead of just what the symptoms of a problem are. And that's why we chose AT&T.
Our population is growing, and we need to leverage technology to help improve livability. AT&T is supporting our efforts by providing insight and technologies, and that helps us be more efficient and more responsive. We've installed traffic monitoring cameras with smart signals. It allows us to manage traffic flow by modifying signal timing in real time. Our goal is to have this technology available along every corridor in Miami-Dade County.
Your quality of life is never going to be good unless you feel safe. First, we retrofitted our conventional lighting system with a smart LED lighting platform, which provides much greater safety for our residents. Next, we chose an area that had public safety challenges, and we installed cloud-based technology management platforms so police could access footage from security cameras from anywhere. The key to the system is AT&T's LTE mobility network, which lets us stream all of the security footage, which would be very difficult without AT&T's LTE network. Real-time monitoring, along with these lighting upgrades, go a long way toward making people feel safer in their homes and throughout the county.
We have to get everybody connected. We're putting free Wi-Fi in our community centers because it's important for young kids to have access to technology, because then they're going to be much more competitive in the future, and that's what we want to do for all the kids here in Miami-Dade. It's a great partnership between AT&T and Miami-Dade County. That's what a smart city is all about.
These 5 trends are 5 trends that I think we can capitalize on here in Mexico. This organization plays a critical role, a critical leadership role in making this a reality. And the confidence that we should have as an organization and as an industry, we should build upon the confidence of what has been accomplished over the last few years. We've seen incredible change and transformation in this country related to infrastructure, especially in connectivity. It's time for us to continue to stand together and to continue the journey that we've just started. And it doesn't matter what type of company that you are with, software, hardware, services, business, enterprise, we all participate and grow from these benefits. And so I would look to this organization to provide the leadership here in this country to create an open and competitive marketplace that fosters continued investment here in Mexico. And we can do it. We can do it. We have done it, and we can continue to do it together. Ya es tiempo de algo mejor, y la CANIETI debe liderar esta transformación. Los invito a trabajar en equipo con dirección clara para construir el ecosistema digital que México merece y necesita. Muchas gracias.